What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Noah Gray here, tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Josh's channel and check out showmefootball.com for more.
What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of showmefootball.com, covering your Kansas City Chiefs, and we just got a further update on the injury status of Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Xavier Worthy. We'll react to it right after this. Ladies and gentlemen of the Chiefs Kingdom, we got a good and bad injury update, or I should say good and bad news with this latest Xavier Worthy injury update that came from Ian Rappaport. So let's look at the initial report from this afternoon saying Chiefs wide receiver Xavier Worthy suffered a dislocated shoulder versus the Chargers, and he's still undergoing tests to determine the severity per Ian Rappaport. There is hope that he can return sometime this season with a brace, but surgery is still an option. And then I wanted to look at this other tweet from Jesse Morse, MD, who breaks down a lot of player injuries on Twitter. He says, Xavier Worthy, dislocated shoulder confirmed, minimum 3 games if mild, moderate 4 to 6 games missed, severe season-ending surgery. He adds he will likely eventually require surgery. It just depends on how stable they can get him with physical therapy and bracing. He's at very high risk for redislocation, and his game will be severely restricted until this is properly corrected. So the good news is that it sounds like Xavier Worthy will still be able to play this season for the Kansas City Chiefs, and that's better than what it could be, which is, hey, he's immediately ruled out for the rest of the season. And you can't just help but feel terrible because it wasn't his fault that he got hurt. Travis Kelce ran into him. I'm sure Travis Kelce feels like crap about it too, but just totally unlucky. Didn't need to happen. And, you know, I said it immediately after the game, like, I think we'll be able to tell how bad it is depending on that first update, whether or not he gets put on IR. I think there's a chance that he continues playing without ever being put on IR. And again, that's why this is somewhat good news. If they throw a brace on there and, you know, maybe he's able to play, that's cool. But I'll be honest, guys, the bad news with this, I think, is that, as Jesse Morse pointed out, he's already at very high risk of re-injury. And when you look at the size of Xavier Worthy, the play style, the fact that his shoulder will have to be braced no matter what, it almost feels, and I understand this is an optimistic, I guess, update for people, considering what the fear was when he got injured, but it almost effectively seems like this is a season-ending injury for Xavier Worthy, because it feels like at minimum he's going to have to get surgery after the season is over. It's going to bother him. He's just not going to be as effective. He's not going to be able to take as many hits. It's a really shitty situation. It's a sucky injury. It's very tedious. He can play with it, but he's also not going to be very effective. It almost seems like at this point we're just kind of trying to avoid the worst case scenario. And it's like we're never going to see this wide receiver room healthy with Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, and Hollywood Brown. It seems we're just extremely unlucky. We're not going to get to see it. We're not going to see him fully healthy. But look, I've said even before the season, and I still believe it, you know, assuming they get Rashee Rice from suspension and Jalen Royals can come back and Hollywood stays healthy, Tyquan Thornton stays healthy, there's still enough in this wide receiver room. There's still enough at the pass catcher position. The tight ends, even though we didn't see a ton of them in week 1, like I think Robert Tonyan will contribute. Noah Gray is going to be Noah Gray. Travis Kelce, hopefully, you know, he looks better than he did in week 1. I know he had the touchdown, but he didn't do too much outside of that. I still believe in this group of pass catchers, what they have. And I think Jalen Royals is going to have a big role. He has to at this point. So I still like what the Kansas City Chiefs have at wide receiver. And, you know, if Xavier Worthy can stick around and maybe be a decoy, that's better than what it could be, right? But I'll be honest, guys, watching football today, this NFL Sunday, it was hard for me to not notice something about what the Kansas City Chiefs could do to help out their wide receiver room. And I want to talk about that here in a second. But before we do that, I do want to show you guys a message from our partners on this channel that will be with me all football season long. Let's check it out. Wanted to take a moment to shout out our partners on this channel over at W Energy. Guys, if you have not heard of W Energy, you're absolutely missing out right now. If you're someone like me that needs that jolt of energy when you first wake up in the morning, or when you're trying to take on a big task for the day, such as working out, or maybe trying to complete a project for school, anything like that, W is an essential. I'm someone that unfortunately has gotten into the bad habit of drinking a lot of caffeinated energy drinks filled with sugar or artificial sweeteners or flavors, but I'm trying to curb that now by using W Energy, which is a much better alternative. W is a powered energy drink that replaces other inferior caffeine beverages. It contains zero harmful chemicals, zero fillers, zero artificial colors or dyes, and no proprietary blends. The star of the show is their coffee fruit extract, which helps you focus without the jitter or the crash of other energy drinks or caffeinated drinks out on the market. And they just sent me their Japanese yuzu flavor that I've been drinking recently. It is absolutely fantastic. One of the better tasting energy drinks that I've ever had. And I'm going to continue to use it and check out some of their other flavors as well. I encourage you all to do the same. And luckily for you, you can use my promo code SHOWMEFB by clicking the link down below and putting that promo code in when you go to checkout, and you can get an additional 10% off. Stop drinking those unhealthy energy drinks and start drinking W Energy instead. Go check out their stuff. They're going to be partnered with me all football season long. Go and check them out. So yeah, guys, there you have it. W Energy. Definitely take advantage of that sale using my promo code. But back to the video topic. So I told you guys that I wanted to discuss an idea that I had after watching football this Sunday, and I will do that here in a second. But one more thing I wanted to add before is I still think that even if Xavier Worthy has to get surgery, I cannot talk right now. Even though they will say that's a season-ending injury, I think it's still early enough that it could be like a Hollywood Brown situation where he has to get surgery. He's effectively out for the rest of the regular season, but he could still return for the postseason. And honestly, I think I'd probably rather have it that way than have Xavier Worthy running out there with, 50% effectiveness and only at 50%. I think I would actually rather him go out now and come back later with a chance to actually help out this offense. But if he is going to be out for the season, and this is something that we have to deal with, I have an idea for you guys. I was watching the Miami Dolphins struggle to beat the Indianapolis Colts, the Daniel Jones-led Indianapolis Colts today. They got blown out. And if you guys saw on the sidelines, Tyreek Hill had an outburst. We already know that he had his struggle with the Dolphins organization this offseason. It seemed like they were headed for a split. Then he kind of came back, but it felt like the relationship was already fractured. It does not look like it's going to end well for Tyreek Hill in Miami. It feels like he's a prime trade deadline candidate to get shipped out. And I'm telling you right now, the stars are aligning for the Kansas City Chiefs to have a reunion with Tyreek Hill. And I'm not just saying this for no reason. This isn't a hot take. I've already seen a bunch of people on social media talking about it. I think the Kansas City Chiefs might seriously have to consider bringing in Tyreek Hill, especially if they're going to lose Xavier Worthy for the rest of the year. It's clear that this offense just has not been the same without Tyreek Hill in it. There was a stat the other night. I forget where I saw it, but Patrick Mahomes' average air yards per attempt has been more than cut in half since Tyreek Hill left the Kansas City Chiefs. They've neutered our quarterback. The offense hasn't been as good. In fact, it's been pretty mediocre the last couple of years, and it's been a lot of Patrick Mahomes' backyard football trying to save the Kansas City Chiefs with subpar wide receiver play. Tyreek Hill is just rotting away out there with the Miami Dolphins. They're not going to do anything. I'd be willing to send them a fourth rounder if they're willing to take on a bunch of his salary. The Kansas City Chiefs would have to pull some shenanigans, I think, to open up the money to take him on for this year. But man, you're trying to win a Super Bowl. If you lose, what was going to be your wide receiver 1/wide receiver 2 in Xavier Worthy, and the speed element that he brought. He kind of was supposed to be your Tyreek Hill replacement that the Kansas City Chiefs finally found. But if you're going to lose him, man, I'd seriously consider saving Tyreek Hill from the Miami Dolphins. And you've heard him talk about how he kind of misses what he had with the Kansas City Chiefs. It's a reunion that I think needs to happen. It's time. Bring Tyreek home. Give the Dolphins a draft pick that entices them to take on most of his salary. Get this wide receiver room back to where it was. Get this offense back to where it was. Let's have one last ride with Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, and Chris Jones. Because after what I saw in week 1, this team doesn't have the horses right now. And if they lost Xavier Worthy, that's one less guy that makes things easier for Patrick Mahomes. Let's do something about it. That's my idea. But otherwise, that's all I have to say about the Xavier Worthy injury and the update we got. That's all I got for you guys in this one. So definitely let me know your comments down below what you guys think the Chiefs should do with Xavier Worthy. But with all that being said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. Make sure you check out my work on showmefootball.com for more. Follow me on Twitter at showmefb. That's all I got. I'll see you all in the next one. And as always, go Chiefs.